So during the loading, I've been working at Microsoft for a couple of years now, and I've been creating a framework named Babylon.js, which is a WebGL framework. So Matt has been explaining in a great way what WebGL could do, what a shader is, so I don't have to explain what a shader is. We had lightning talk about PWA, I don't have to explain what a PWA is so perfectly. So the idea was to create a game that could be run on top of a mobile, on a desktop using mouse or using VR headsets. So if the demo gods are with us, so we are inside the church, so I really do hope it will help me. I'm working at Microsoft as a program manager. We are working on open source projects like also PWA Builder. I don't know if you know it, so it's part of my team working on that. But I was invited to talk about Babylon and games. So for people that don't know Babylon.js yet, it's so a 3D engine built on top of WebGL 1 and 2. So dynamically, we can check what the browser is currently supporting, and we're going to switch from one version of WebGL to another one to potentially gain some performance. It's open source using an Apache 2 license. So we were building that at the time where open source wasn't that cool. It was before the Satya era, for people who know that. So now we are very cool, but at that time it wasn't really well seen to work on open source. And now we are really well known because we are also very community-driven. And so a lot of people are pushing code to that. It's written in TypeScript. So if you've seen the keynote, maybe the keynote speaker wasn't a huge fan of TypeScript. I am a huge fan of TypeScript, but I'm probably biased because I'm working for Microsoft. But when we rewriting the engine from JavaScript to TypeScript, we really managed to improve a lot the quality of the code. And it managed us also to bring some developer coming from the native background, because having 3D skills often come from gaming background, and those people really love C++, sometimes C#. But JavaScript, for them, it was like, oh my God, I'm not going to touch JavaScript. So TypeScript is in the middle, so they have the feeling that they are in a safe place. So it's really useful to get some people from C++ doing some JavaScript. It's used by a lot of first-party applications. So the last commit I've been doing to Babylon.js, I haven't been working a lot on Babylon.js for 1 year now because I'm working on a job. The last contribution I've done, it was WebVR, so we're going to see that together. And it's being used by SharePoint. I don't know if you know SharePoint, but for me, SharePoint wasn't something very super cool. Now I think it's super cool because it's using my code to do VR, so you should use SharePoint to do VR. And it's being used also by PowerPoint. This is why I've put a 3D animated model there. When you view a PowerPoint file through OneDrive, for instance, on the web browser, Babylon.js is being used to render the 3D. So there are several first-party inside Microsoft using it, but we're also working with Adobe, Sony, the US Army. We've been working with Ubisoft, with Assassin's Creed, so pretty fun. So let's try to see in action what Babylon.js could do. So obviously, in the meantime, everything has been loaded. So we have support for physically based rendering, named PWA. This is the best way to render today 3D. So most of the games you're playing today on console, PC are using PWA most of the time. It's being invented by Disney. So it's a set of, computation, equation to compute light, so the way the reflection is being managed to really mimic real rendering. So we have beautiful reflection there. You can also render like stuff like that with wood, trying to be really as much as possible realistic. We can also have this kind of fun face. Hello there. So it's pretty fun. But obviously, we have also other interesting things like support for physics engine. So we are not directly building the physics engine. We are using sets of existing open source physics engines. The latest one we've been integrating in Babylon.js 4 was EMO. It's support from the C++ version to WebAssembly. So there were a couple of talks talking about WebAssembly. So we're using a physics engine using WebAssembly. And you see it's pretty accurate. So the balls are falling properly into the wheel. And I can watch that for hours. I don't know why. I really like that. But today, I came to present you a game I've been working on. It's this one. So you can go on this URL on your smartphone if you have enough bandwidth. So it's aka.ms/apples with an S crusher. And it was built during a hackathon. I think I was in Norway. I can't remember where I was. It was a Nordic country, for sure. And there was a woman came to my desk. I was a proctor, you know, on Babylon.js and 3D. She told me, I want to build a Fruit Ninja-like game. Can you show me how to, she took an apple, can you show me how to load an apple and then, you know, destroy it? So yes, let's do that together. So we were writing the code, and I was thinking, it's a pretty good idea. I want to finish a game. So I ended up finishing the game, and the idea was to be able to play on a smartphone, on a desktop PC or Mac, up to using VR controller. So the first version you're going to load on your smartphone, obviously, is the 2D version to be able to play using touch. I don't know if we've got sounds, but I've been composing the music also. Yes, we've got sound. So let's play. So the idea is to draw line. Using your fingers, you can draw several lines because we are using pointer events. Up, and I'm not good at my own game. So you see, very stupid game, and we're going to see together how to build this game, okay? And you will have the tutorial on my blog if you like to. So normally you should work on your machine too, or smartphone. So, episode 1, building for desktop and mobile. So it was a moonlight project. Because obviously my boss didn't want me to spend my time during the day building a game. So I decided to finish that during my, I think all developers most of the time spare their time also during their spare time to write code. We are really weird person, but this is like that. And I was quite happy, you see, I was dancing. I don't know if I look like these guys, but. And I'm going to show you how to start. So the first part is to learn how to write code. So we are using, we have been building a tool named the Playground because it was our first open source project. And to be honest, it was really hard for us. We were thinking that people were all nice in the open source community. And at the beginning, they were not nice at all with us. They were saying, your project is crap, it's not working. Yes, can you provide a reproduction code? Yes, obviously, when I'm loading an object, it's not working. Yes, but which object? Well, you know. No, I don't know. So it was difficult because we were asking them, can you share code? Some people were doing some screenshots of their code and sending that to us, which is quite bad because we have to rewrite your code. Don't do that, please. So we ended up writing this tool. This tool is to share samples and to let people write their code directly in the browser, save that, and share that with us. So it's very useful to share samples and also to get some sample code. As we are built on top of TypeScript, what we can have is to have IntelliSense if we have internet connection. So I'm going to reload it. Please. Please. So we don't have it. It's too late. They cut the internet access. So if I'm typing dot, I should have the IntelliSense because we are using the VS Code editor. The VS Code editor is named Monaco, and Monaco is open source. So we took the Monaco editor, we put that inside directly the web page. And the beauty of that, when you've got an internet connection, I'm not lucky. I'm the last one, and I'm not lucky. But I can save samples, and as you may have seen there, this sample is a sample code we are sharing with the community, and I can easily modify the code, save it, and it's going to generate this URL that I can share with my friends or with the people who are working on Babylon.js to reproduce, or maybe you can say that this is not working as expected, and we can fix it live. So you see, to build this thing, this is the amount of code you have to write, like 2,100 lines of code. It's back. Thank you, the demo code. So let's try it again. You see now, if I'm looking for the diffuse property, it's going to say that it's type of Babylon.color free, and it's give the basic color to an object. Okay, so let's change it to Babylon.colorfree.red. And I can run it, and I can immediately build something ugly, which is really cool. Obviously, if you want to learn how to do something better, you have various type of samples, like this one. And this one will show you how to animate characters. And I know I'm going to check this down. So this one, for instance, is play from walk to run, from idle to walk. So you have various ways to switch from one animation to another. And if you like to know how to do that with the shadows on top of it, again, you have the sample code to do that. And for the party, we also have support for web audio. And using web audio, we can, in real time, modify the 3D object and dance on top of it. So it will be for the party. Let's stop that. So once you know how to play with the API, you need some 3D objects. The main issue we have as developer, I think we are quite creative doing code. We've seen beautiful stuff with proxies and really impressive stuff today. But when we have to draw something, well, I don't know about you, but most of the time, I shouldn't do that. It could kill puppies, or I don't know what happened, but since I'm very young, I know I'm not good at that. So I need to have artists that are going to help me. So what's good about that is people are sharing some assets on the web. So Remix3D is a website from Microsoft when you can download some assets, and you can download them in a standard way using glTF. glTF is a standard file format to exchange 3D assets. So you see, if you've played my game, it was one of the core elements of my game. So the idea is to grab several 3D assets. Google also have something very cool named Poly, because low poly is really useful to have great performance on mobile or for VR also. And for instance, here is a great model coming from Google. And you can download it, check the license, of course, and then try to put that in your scene. So to check that, we have a tool that names the sandbox that I'm going to show you. And when you are downloading the model from, for instance, the Google Poly website, you can drag and drop it in our engine. We're going to load it. And we have various tools to help you analyzing it. So for instance, I can check the node and look at the various objects of my 3D object. I can remove some of them and check the performance. So the performance will be there. So it will be the number of points or triangle currently being displayed. And also you will see over there, you see the potential FPS you have. So this is a very powerful machine. Obviously, this model is very easy for it to display, but it means that you can check the time you're spending rendering on the GPU side, on the CPU side, etc. For instance, the GPU is very quiet for now. So it's really important to check that when you're building a game cross-platform, because obviously, if it runs fine on this machine, it won't be the case on your smartphone. So you need to check the complexity of the model for the smartphone. It's also really important for VR, because VR, most of the time, is using 90 frames per second and not 60. It's to avoid motion sickness. So on my side, what I've been doing is to build my own background object. So I can drag and drop it. And you see, this is my playground. This is where I will display the apple and where I will be in VR also. Once you've done that, you need to load the code. To load the code is pretty easy. This is one line of code. It's going to load the geometry, load the texture, use our shader, which is quite complex to write. So we're doing everything for you. And then you can potentially access to some of the mesh. So this is my case here, because if I want to check here some of the objects, you see, for instance, this one is the cloud. So I'm getting access to this object in my code, and then I'm going to animate it. So very simple. We've got an animation also engine inside Babylon. Now we need to do some collision. So just to explain something very briefly, This sounds as very easy when you're doing that, to do some collision. Let me explain what's going on. We are currently rendering in 3D, and you have a 2D screen. So it means when you will put your finger on the 2D screen, I need to check if you are currently touching a 3D object that lives in a 3D world. So to do that, you're going to send a ray. So we're doing what we are naming ray casting. We're going to send a ray just where you put your finger or your mouse. And this ray, if this ray is touching the 3D object, it's a hit. So we're doing a collision, and we're going to say, congrats, you've just killed an apple. So to do that, it's just if you're pressing just once your finger. But if you're drawing a line, let me do some amazing drawing skills using Paint. So now you understand why I'm not doing anything more complex. This is my apple. It's pretty obvious. If I'm pressing on the frame, my finger is going to check if I'm touching the object there. But let's say that 16 milliseconds later, I'm putting my finger there. What is being done by my code is to draw a line that will do that, okay? But in this case, my code will think, if I'm just testing my code on the left and on the right, it will say, I haven't touched an apple, because the two rays will go through on the left and the right of the apple. So I need to do several ray casting all along the line to check if you're not touching an object. I don't know if it's very clear or not, but this is a really different approach when you're building games. You're really based on the rendering loop. Every 16 milliseconds, you're being called back. But maybe in the meantime, the object has moved, or maybe you've missed something. So it's really important to think about that. And this is what the code is doing. So I have a sample code to help you here. And this was the first basic demonstration when I was trying to build my code. I spent most of the time doing that because it was the most complex part. But let's move to the fun part. Virtual reality. So it could be my grandmother, or it could be me also on the other side when I'm playing VR. So how to do VR use in the browser? So you need to use either WebVR, which is a stable specification that can target Edge, so the previous Edge, Firefox, and some build of Chromium. It's also fairly supported on mobile devices using Android. And thanks to that, you can target any kind of device. So the Microsoft Mixed Reality headset, the Oculus, the HTC, the Daydream, the latest Oculus Quest. All those devices are supporting WebVR, which is really great because as web developer, once again, we can target all devices using a single code base, which is not the case if you're using native approaches. There are two frameworks known to be able to do WebVR in the easy web, Babylon.js and A-Frame, which is really cool and built on top of Fridge.js. So let me show you how to reload everything on my machine because it crashed. But it should be fun. So I've got one sample working. Or maybe I've got another sample working. So let's mute for now. The first line of code is loading this scene. This is a motion. I can interact with my mouse. And then what I'm asking with a single line of code, please enable WebVR for any headsets. And it's going to download automatically the model for the controller and check the support for WebVR. And if you're just doing that, it will be like I can look around, but I cannot do anything in my scene. The second line of code will ask to be able to interact with interactable objects and also being able to teleport if you already use VR. Who has been using VR before the session? So a couple of geeks, cool. And most of the time you are teleporting inside because you can walk, but you've got a cable, so I cannot walk very far away, so you need to teleport. So we have also this teleportation mechanism inside Babylon.js. So this sample, just to show you, it works on the mouse. Yes, it's to wake up you. So maybe I will lower down the volume, I don't know. But you see it's working using mouse. And we're going to see that as we're using pointer events, we just added on top of the pointer event the support for VR controller to re-have it as a new type of pointer. So let's do that. OK. So it should launch. Too bad. Everything was ready, trust me. I am the only Windows machine of the day. I don't know. OK, so this is the VR. So I'm going inside the headset. Please don't make fun of me. If something goes wrong on the stage, maybe someone can help me. So see you later. OK. So what you could do, so you can teleport inside. This is the native version. And what I'm going to check is for the desktop. OK? So this is a desktop. This is Edge. And I want just to check this one. Now, please. You can edit the code using also. Go away, please. OK. So I'm going to enter VR. So this is the same web page running in VR this time. Can you see it? So you can see he has downloaded the controller because he had checked that I'm using a Windows controller. If it was Oculus, it would have been Oculus. I can still interact with the object. And now I can move inside the scene. So I'm trying not to go too fast because you could fall sick. So there are various fun stuff to check, like there is a skeleton playing pianos. So I'm supposed to have web audio, but I've forgot to unmute the button. So, and we have a symmetry over there. So it's fun. So we have Hamlet. Hello, Hamlet. How are you? Do you remember Clippy? Clippy is dead, so can be there. So sad. You have the Schrödinger cat, so I've decided that it's finally dead. And last but not least, you see there's nothing on top of my castle. And to celebrate the death of i6, if I'm clicking on it, you think that in good memory I can see the logo there. Goodbye, i6. I don't know why people are laughing when I'm speaking about the death of i6. And do you remember? So this demo is still working, so I can mimic mouse. You cannot hear it? No, because it's in my headset. Too bad. So I will do the sound with my mouse. And this time, the same scene was working using touch or mouse, but I have multi-touch because I can click on several objects. I can have more objects, so we have special containers to really cool for VR. And it's working in the very same way. And I forgot to launch my game, so back to the real life. And let's show you the final gameplay in VR. OK. So this time, let's play the same game using VR. That's why I was doing the... and I'm better playing it. So again, you can crush Apple using a lightsaber, obviously. And let's do that again. So I really enjoy this gameplay. It's completely stupid. It's banana guns. That's going to crush plumbers, you see. And yes, this is the beauty of the web. So this is my game being played in VR. And I know you want to play to this game, so after the session, you will be able to play it if you like to. So the final part is making it a PWA. So I think you all know what a PWA is. Let's go directly to the important parts. So I'm working on a project named PWA Builder. Let's reload it and take the game. And what could do PWA Builder is to help you analyzing your website. No, come on. So, no, let's not restore it. So it's a new Chrome, it's a new Edge based on Chromium. So you can put your website URL, and we're going to analyze it, check if you've got a manifest, check if you've got a service worker, and we're going to give you a score. And to tell you that you could be better by having, better service worker. You can build the manifest, so we can help you building the manifest, and you can then reference that on your website. You can generate the image, because it's very boring to do that, so you can upload your logo, and we're going to generate all the various assets for you and put that in the manifest. And finally, if you play my game also and you install it on your Android device, I'm forcing the landscape mode, because this game has been really designed to be played in landscape. So really, PWA Builder can help you doing that. And at the end, it can even help you to target the Android store, because it's going to build a native container with a web view and embed a link to your website. So it can really help you to make the first steps of your project and create also some basic service worker. So if you like to test it, just to have an idea of the job that remains to build a PWA on website, you can check that. So if I'm going back to the slide, if I'm testing that on an Android device, for instance, so I'm loading the game, and you see I've got a banner that asks me, do you want to install that on your home page? So I'm going to say yes. Then it's going to switch back to the home of my Android device, install it, and now when I'm launching my PWA game, it's very convenient because it's going to force the landscape mode. So I'm sure that my game now is being played in the proper way. It can still be played in the portrait mode, but it's not as easy to get the apple. So this is done in a couple of seconds using PWA Builder, or you can build your own manifest, obviously. And finally, let's talk about something I really wanted to do with my game. So by default, when you don't have a service worker, this is the way it's working between your web app and the network. And as you know, the service worker is a kind of proxy between your web page and the network when you have a cache available. The issue I had, I wanted to be able to go offline as soon as I've got the first load of my game. Because I was thinking, if I want to compete with the App Store, for instance, when you're going to install a game from an App Store, once the game is installed on your mobile, you can go airplane mode, and the game should work, okay? In my case, the first strategy I was using was I was creating a service worker during the first load. The service worker was installed and registered, but I was already having some background requests downloading some assets, and the service worker you need to refresh the page to let the service worker being able to get the next request to put that into the cache. And I was thinking that's a bit stupid. To be able to have a full offline experience, I need to load twice my game, and this is not something I would like to do. So what I've been doing is I'm been mixing the service worker to pre-cache some of the file, like the index, some JavaScript file, and basic CSS. And I'm using IndexedDB to get the assets and to put the first loading directly in the IndexedDB, which means that after the first load, my game is ready to be played offline. So if I'm testing that on an Android device, and I have to play the video, you see that I'm turning airplane mode on my Samsung. It's a Samsung S8 device. And still the game can be launched and played without any issues. So to show you how it works, I'm going to load that here. And let's use F12 and use the network part to check what's going on. So let's reload it. Should be relatively fast. And you see that some of the files are coming from the service worker, but other others are coming from the IndexedDB. So I've got an IndexedDB being used. So Babylon.js is natively supporting IndexedDB. So you can ask to Babylon.js, when you have first loaded the asset, like the textures, the sound, or whatever, please put that directly in IndexedDB. And the next time you need to load the assets, take that from the local storage, IndexedDB, rather than doing the network request. So thanks to that, I've been using a service worker to, cache, where is the cache, some of the files, some images, and some basic files there. And the textures and the scene object and the various assets, like the glTF file, are stored inside IndexedDB. So thanks to that, I can immediately go offline after the first load. So it was a bit difficult, but I've managed to demonstrate twice my game in VR. And I've got a tutorial on my blog. The idea was really to show you that you can build today WebGL in production, to be honest. We've got several customers doing it, targeting from mobile, desktop, up to VR, using the same website, the same code. And I think this is only web technologies that can do that today, to target so many devices using a single code base. And the idea was really to maybe give you some idea on building a gameplay that can be played on mouse, but using also laser saber or even better, banana guns. Thank you.